sure wish I had a hot bodyguard, because these people are really thriving, okay? We're gonna talk about some Bodyguard romance book recommendations today. I've been waiting to make this video. I feel like since even last year, I was starting to be like, I think I have enough to do a rec video. And then finally, I just read another one and I was like, okay, that makes it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Bodyguard books. So I'm like, I feel like I finally have enough to go ahead and give you guys some recs for them. I love this. I love the forced proximity. I love that it's forbidden. And I love that all of these bodyguards would do literally anything for their clients. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's go ahead and jump right on in. First up, we got one of the most recent ones that I've read, and that is By Virtue I Fall by Cora Riley. So this is technically the third book in the Sins of the Father series, which is a spin-off series of the Kimora Chronicles and the Born in Blood Chronicles. However, you could go ahead and jump into this one if you didn't want to read like the extensive backlist that is the rest of them, because quite frankly, it's a lot. It follows Anna, and she is the daughter of the head of the Chicago Mafia. She has always had this bodyguard. Oh, I'm completely blanking on his name right now. But anyways, her bodyguard, she has always had a crush on him since she was like a young teenager. However, he obviously is like, you're a literal child. Stay away from me. Also, he doesn't really want to be a bodyguard, but because his capo asked him, like, he can't say no, right? Like, it's the head of the mafia. If your boss asks you to do something, you just shut up and do it. So he has since been Anna's bodyguard. And then he's always watched out for her over the years. And then now when she is an adult, she has tried making a move on him. And once again, he's like, you need to back off. You're literally going to get me killed by your father. So like, stop it. Anna's a little bit deterred, especially as she is getting into a little bit of an arranged marriage situation. She doesn't really want this arranged politician's son. She wants her bodyguard, but she's also like, you know what? This is kind of the fate of my life, of this world. And at least if I'm going to have to get married to him, at least let me go to Paris. She loves fashion. She's like, at least let me go to Paris for a few years to just kind of like have this time to myself before I get married. Parents reluctantly agree because they're like, fine, you can take your bodyguard with. And obviously then when they're in Paris, Anna makes another move, and finally our bodyguard cannot say no anymore. And oh my god, it's so good. The tension that builds up between the two of them is just delicious. And also the fact that he's like, your dad will quite literally kill me, and like, he is the head of the mafia, so like, he will literally kill him. And yeah, there's also the arranged marriage that still comes into the way. Anyways, there's a lot of layers to this romance that why it cannot be, but oh my god, it's so good. It is my favorite of the spin-off series so far. It's honestly like up there as my favorite book just of Cora Riley's in general that I've read. I really love it. And like I said, I like that it's a slow burner and that there is a lot of angst that builds up between the two of them. Switch it up because I do have another mafia one, but let's go with a royalty one, which is one of the most popular books I feel like in this trope, but I'm going to include it anyways, and that's Twisted Games by Anna Huang. So this one is the second book in the Twisted series, but again, it's a standalone, so you could jump into this one without reading book one. And this one follows Reese and Bridget. So Bridget is the second daughter, and she's like the spare heir to this country in Eldora. Her older brother is the one who's supposed to be uptaking the throne. So she is off in the States enjoying school. She has friends, she has a social life, she loves animals. She like really has a life there that she loves. However, she is hit by a bombshell when her brother ends up abdicating the throne, and then she is going to be next in line. And while she's dealing with that, she's also dealing with her new bodyguard. So she had another bodyguard. She loved him. He was great. They had a great relationship, but his wife ended up having a baby, so he ended up going back home, and then Reese was sent in as a replacement. And Reese is tall and broody and quiet and moody, and immediately he just like kind of lays down the law with Bridget, and she's like, you can't really like tell me what to do. And he's like, your safety is my literal only priority. Like, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to like keep you safe and do my job. And he was like former military, like special forces too. So he just doesn't really mess around. But then you see when he starts doing these little things for Bridget, oh, you said that you don't care about her at all? Suspicious, sir. Suspicious. Yeah, as Bridget is coming to the realization that her life is not going to be her own anymore as the heir, she realizes that she wants Reese and she wants some fun and that he can maybe give her. I love this one. I did a reread on the whole Twisted series earlier this year, and truly this one I loved even more the second time around. The first time that I read it, I loved it and enjoyed it, but like, I don't think I appreciated Reese as much, especially not up against characters like Alex and Christian, okay? Like, you can't put him up against like cold ass billionaire men, okay? Like, I'm always gonna pick that. However, him on the second time around, Oh my God, I was so obsessed with the two of them, and especially just the way that he just loves and cares for Bridget and will protect her with everything. It's amazing. Okay, next up, let's jump back into Mafia, and that is Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. So this one is the 5th book in the not the Born and Blood Chronicles. What is this one? Why can't I think of what this is? Brutal Birthright. Oh my God, this has illustrations in it. Wow, how did I never realize that? I read these all on Kindle. Is that, shut the fuck up. Is that Nero? I'm truly speechless. I just want to look at him all day. Anyways, okay, but we're not here to talk about him. That's the 3rd book. This is the 5th book. You could jump into this one, although I do think you do get like a richer picture, obviously, of the series as a whole, but you could jump into this one if you just wanted to try this one. So this one follows Riona and Raylan. And Riona is a daughter that is a part of like, I don't know if they're like fully mafia family or if they're like more like mafia adjacent, right? But she does some more of their like legal stuff. She's a very badass lawyer, and she kind of does more of that stuff for the family business and like for like her brothers. Cause I think actually, are they more in like politics, but they like do some dirty stuff with the mafia. There's some arranged marriages in the first books, whatever. Fiona is very much just like take no bullshit kind of woman, okay? And when there is something that she kind of is like getting involved in that people don't want her getting involved in, and there is actually like a potential hit on her life and someone almost kills her, then her family is like, oh, okay, well, like we can't take this, you need to have a bodyguard. And that is where Raylan comes into the mix. And I want to say, I think they've actually met each other before. Now, granted, I'm a little hazy because I read this book a long time ago, but I think they've met each other before, and she does not like him. He's like a family friend, I want to say, and he's like Sunshine. It's like Grumpy Sunshine, but she's the grump and he's the sunshine. She immediately is like, I don't want this dude following me around. Like, I can take care of myself. She's very much like, I don't need anyone's help. I can do everything on my own. And Raylan's like, I know you can. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but also like there are people trying to kill you, and like you need to come with me, and we're gonna go to like this remote ranch that I'm from, and like you're gonna kind of get a taste of my life out there and like away from the city and away from the danger. And it's just very much like she's a fish out of water in these new circumstances. It's very fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. Also, Raylan, y'all know this is not my typical kind of man, okay? He's very much like a little country-ish, but also like very like built. I think, was he also maybe former military? Is that why he's the bodyguard choice too? Anyways, he's very hot. And just watching the way that he never like discounts Riona, and like the way that everyone kind of like brushes her off because she is so like, I can do everything myself. And he's like, I'm not trying to take that away from you, but like, let me help you. I want to be there for you. It's so great. I love their relationship. And also, he is just willing to do anything to keep her safe as well. And it's so good. Next up, let's do Keep Her Safe by QB Tyler. This is the cover to cover special edition box, but I have a whole stack of QB's books, and Keep Her Safe was at like the bottom, and I'm like, I don't feel like moving that around, so I grabbed this one. So the other cover looks a little different. Our heroine in this one, she is a famous actress on this one television show. She's like a reoccurring role on there, and it's nearing its last season, and she actually has a boyfriend that she's been dating, but she finds out that he's been cheating on her, but they like keep it up for appearance's sake. But she's kind of like, I am done with you, and like our personal lives, like, yes, obviously we're finishing up this TV show, he's a co-star on there, so she's like, we will keep this public image face, but like behind closed doors, we're not together, you do not talk to me. And once that is declared, she's like, you know what, I have always had a thing for my bodyguard, and I'm gonna go for it. She really turns to the one person who has always been there for her, and that is her bodyguard, and he has always really watched out for her, and he's been with her from the beginning. And then when she starts making her move on him, he's so down bad, he can't help but like give in to her. He really doesn't even fight it that hard. I mean, like, he tries, but like he fails pretty quickly, and it's really hot. And anyways, there ends up being more to this. There ends up being like a little bit of like a suspense-ish type plot that goes into this. And also, like, if you want to truly see like touch her and I'll kill you bodyguard vibes, yeah, this one's got it. I really love this one. It's a lot of fun. It's hot. And I really like the actress lifestyle, because I feel like so many of the bodyguard books that I read are like mafia ones, you know, where it's like that's just kind of like violence is expected in this world. But with this one, with it being more like the celeb status, and then like everything that comes with that in terms of like news coverage and social media and like people watching you, that's like a fun element in this one. Okay, next up is For the Love of Kane by Ames Mills. So this one is, I would say like it's a polyamorous romance, and I would say it is the lightest bodyguard that I have on my list here. So Kane is one of our heroes in this one, and he is the head of, I forget like what branch of the mafia. He's the head of the mafia, okay, in a city. And he has this one, his bestie, Blaze, who, yes, that is his name. And he is his bodyguard. Like, so yeah, he always accompanies him to meeting and is more like his second in command, kind of, but really is like that enforcer status. And he does have Kane's back all the time. Like, he is kind of known as his bodyguard, at least in like, you know, more public settings where he can't just be like, hey, I'm in the mafia, and he's trying to play it like a little more low key. Blaze is his bodyguard in those circumstances and in those meetings. Kane has recently come into a little bit of trouble with some people trying to undermine some of his deals, and he's trying to find the rat within his ranks. And one night when he is out at a gala, he ends up meeting this one guy out there. He brings him back. They have a great night together, and Kane starts to realize that he has actual feelings for him, and like that's very foreign to him because he doesn't allow himself to kind of entertain any sort of feelings or emotions in terms of romance. And Blaze is right there. So Blaze's bodyguard is right there watching all of this unfold. And he's happy for Kane, but he's also disappointed because him and Kane and then Blaze's like boyfriend, who's like not really his boyfriend, it's complicated, okay? But like they're together, and they used to have kind of Kane in the dynamic with them. But then when Kane kind of felt like he was being a third with them and he didn't really want to disrupt what the two of them had going on, he kind of pulled back. And that hurt Blaze because Blaze loves Kane and wants him, and then it ends up all four of them end up falling in love with each other, and all four of them end up being in a relationship together. The bodyguard aspect obviously comes into play between Kane and Blaze, so that's kind of why like I focused on their relationship a little bit more, just because like for the sake of this video that's what we're kind of talking about. But all four of those characters and their relationships with each other are all kind of like equally explored in the book. It's a lot of fun. I read it a couple of months back and it was just like a wild fun time, okay? It was kind of twisty and turny. I love the mafia aspect of it, and let me tell you, insane heat in this one, just absolutely insane heat. And these last two are from the same series, but they follow, the series is like 15 books long, but these two I picked out because they are like the two earliest couples in the series. So first up, I want to talk about Mafi and Pharaoh from Damaged Like a Story. And did you want to come in and talk about them too? Oh, I love these books so much. So this is the second generation of the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. So once again, I obviously think you would get a richer experience having read the parents' books before, but you don't need to because these are the kids' books and they are like they're like romances alone. You obviously see glimpses of the parents and you kind of like have that background of the world, but you wouldn't need that in order to start this series. So this one kicks it off, Mafi and Pharaoh. So this is an bodyguard one. So Mafi is the son of two very rich and like well-known parents, which obviously you get in their original story. So he has grown up in the spotlight. He knows what it's like to be a public figure and in the public eye, and he's always dealt with that. And he has always had to have bodyguards because there's always been interest around him, his siblings, and his cousins because of the media attention that his parents always drew in. And at the start of this book, he ends up getting a new bodyguard, which is Pharaoh. And that is not a good thing for Mafi because he has always had a crush on Pharaoh. Pharaoh is is he like 6 years older than Mafi? And he actually used to guard his mom. But then when his mom ends up getting a new bodyguard, Pharaoh gets reassigned to Mafi. And Pharaoh knows that Mafi has a crush on him. And he kind of likes making him squirm a little bit and kind of teasing him a little bit. And Mafi just can't help it. Like, he is so down bad for Pharaoh. Pharaoh is just like the coolest character. That is the best way that I can describe him. He is just cool. But when he gets assigned to Mafi, it is made known by the people in charge that obviously like you do not sleep with your clients, okay? Like that is not okay. But also he does not want to sit by and kind of watch Mafi just live his life and see him hooking up with other people. And even though it's against the rules, the two of them cannot help but just be attracted to each other. And let me just tell you, these two, I love these two with my entire heart and soul. They are so pure. They deserve nothing but love and happiness, and for their pillow to always be cold every night. Like, I just love them. They have the first 3 books in the series. They're both incredible characters, and just truly seeing them really fight to be together and just choosing each other over everything else and saying like fuck it to everything else. It's so good. you need to go and read it. And the second book that's in that series, well, it's technically book 4, but like I said, Mafia and Pharaoh have the first 3 books in that series. So then Tangled Like Us is Jane and Thatcher. So Jane is Mafi's cousin. And so again, her parents were in the original series, and she is the oldest child in her family. And her family is just like perfectionists. Her parents, I mean, they are like the smartest people in the world. She has like a very driven family. Everyone in her family just seems to have a purpose. They seem to have a drive. They seem to know what they want, and they go and take it. And she just kind of feels like a little bit of the odd one out in that she's in her early 20s and she's just trying to kind of figure out her life, but she's figuring it out under public scrutiny. And just, you see how people like rip her apart and compare her to her parents, compare her to the successes of her family. And she tries to be unaffected by it, but you do see how it does get under her skin. And Thatcher ends up being Jane's bodyguard, and when he gets assigned to guard her, he's not the most excited about it, but then he truly starts to see who the person Jane is underneath like the surface image of her. And when you see him start to realize like when people throw shit her way, and like when she's out in public and people yell horrible things, and you hear and see his internal dialogue when he hears what they're saying about her, and you see how like absolutely feral he goes protecting her. Listen, I love Thatcher. As much as I love Mafia and Pharaoh, Jane and Thatcher are my favorite couple in this series so far. I haven't finished, but anyways, I kind of got sidetracked. And in this one, they end up fake dating because even though it is against the rules to date your bodyguard, Jane kind of gets put in a situation by someone else in her family where there ends up being a lot of media attention to her being single and people like trying to creep on her and stalk her and date her and court her. And they're like, this is literally unsafe. We can't do this. They're like, well, let's feed the story out that she's dating her bodyguard. So that way, like, he's already around her 24/7, can keep her safe. No one else has to get pulled into the mix, and they can do that. And obviously the fake dating doesn't stay fake. This was a top book of mine last year. I still love it. I want to do a reread of it. And yeah, especially seeing the way that Thatcher just gets so feral protecting Jane. Oh my God, it's so good. That is it for these recommendations today. I don't know. So I'm pre-filming these videos because the week that this goes up, I have like an insane week, so I don't know yet what I'm going to be having next week, just because that's like too far out in advance for me to plan. But if there's anything that you guys want to see from me, let me know. But anyways, that is it for today's video, and I will see you when I see ya.